Name's Piers. People come to me when things go wrong, not before. No one hires a detective because they're happy. It's always the same tone in their voice, hushed, tired, like they've already tried every other way. That morning was no exception. The call came at 5:07 a.m. I was sitting by my window with a lukewarm mug of coffee and a cigarette burning down between my fingers. I watched the fog roll down the empty street like a ghost with nowhere left to go. Then the phone rang. "Detective Piers?" the voice asked. Young, tense. A uniform, I guessed. "Speaking. We need you at Riverside Manor. It's a situation." That's all they ever say on the phone. A situation. You show up, and it's always worse than whatever you pictured. I was there in 15. The streets were still asleep. Even the crime scene tape looked like it hadn't woken up yet, drooping from post to post in the morning haze. The manor sat near the riverbank like an old story no one wanted to reread. Fog curled around its balconies, thick as smoke. The lights were on in the parlor, and on the upper landing. Someone had left the front door wide open. Inside, the air smelled like wine and perfume. There were glasses on every surface, a record player still spinning without sound in the corner, and the faintest whiff of cigar smoke hanging near the ceiling. It had been a party, no doubt about that. A private reunion of some kind. The kind with expensive suits, old jokes, and more secrets than memories. And at the foot of the stairs, the guest of honor. A woman mid-30s. Blonde, thin, beautiful even in death. Her body lay twisted awkwardly on the carpet. One shoe was missing. The other was still on, heels snapped clean off. She wore a long dress, pale gold, torn at the shoulder like someone had grabbed her. Her hands were curled inward, fingers tight, as if she'd reached for something in her last second. Above her, the staircase curved up like a spine. Ornate wood railing, soft carpeting. No sign of blood, but a patch of the rug was darker than the rest, not soaked, but slightly damp. Her eyes were open. "You're looking at Alina Hart," said the officer standing to my left. He was tall, buzz-cut, too young to look so tired. Was a writer. Some books, journalism, a few screenplays. Nothing I've read. Who called it in? I asked. Guy named Matthew Crane. Said he found her on the stairs when he came down looking for his phone. Time of call was 4:41 a.m. Anyone touch the body? No one. EMT checked her pulse, that's all. Dead on arrival. I knelt beside her and looked closer. The wound was behind the right ear. Blunt trauma, likely something rounded, not sharp. No bleeding from the nose or ears, though. So it happened fast. Probably instant. But something felt placed. Her position wasn't natural. People fall differently. When they're pushed or trip, their bodies tell a story. Hers didn't match the one we were being sold. Who else is here? I asked. 11 other guests, the officer said. Everyone's still in the house. We've got them sitting in the lounge. Want to talk to them? I nodded. One by one. He looked uneasy. Something wrong? I glanced at the body again. She didn't fall. Not by accident. The guests were gathered in a room full of low leather chairs, crystal decanters, and too many mirrors. They watched me like a pack of well-dressed wolves pretending to be nervous sheep. I'd seen the type before. Old college friends, old affairs, old grudges. Someone in that room had watched her die. Or worse. I started with the one who called it in. He said his name was Matthew Crane. Late 30s, expensive clothes, handshake like a salesman. Told me he was in venture capital. Probably meant he knew how to lose other people's money while smiling. We were friends since college, he said. I hadn't seen her in a while. This was supposed to be a nice weekend. You find her alone? Yeah. I came downstairs to find my phone. I'd left it charging in the kitchen. Saw her lying there. Thought it was a joke at first. Who was she talking to last night? He hesitated. She spoke to everyone. But I don't know. Olivia Marsh was a little tense with her. Why? Ask Olivia. So I did. Red hair, pale skin, eyes like cold knives. She sat straight, legs crossed, cigarette untouched in one hand. Alina and I weren't close, she said. Let's leave it at that. Why come to the reunion then? My husband was invited. I came with him. And you had no issues with Alina? She gave a cold little smile. She tried to sleep with my husband once. Years ago. He turned her down. She didn't like that. Did that cause any arguments tonight? Not from me. I barely looked at her. Where were you at 4:30? In bed. Peter, my husband, was with me. I met Peter next. Nervous, balding, and clearly wishing he was anywhere else. I didn't have an affair with her, he said before I even asked. I told her no. That was the end of it. But she kept a grudge? I don't know. Maybe. She spread rumors. Made things uncomfortable. Like what kind of rumors? He looked down. That we did sleep together. That I begged her. Stupid things. No one believed her. They were lying, of course. Maybe not all of it, maybe not everything, but someone wasn't telling the truth. That's always the rule with these types. They show up with tailored suits, polite smiles, and murder tucked into their back pocket. There were more people to talk to. A quiet girl named Leslie who barely said a word. A man named Felix who was already half drunk at 7 in the morning. A woman named Dana who used to act in B-list television and wore sunglasses indoors like she couldn't stand being seen. Every one of them had a story about Alina. Some said she was brilliant. Some said she was manipulative. Most said both. But the thing that stuck with me was this: not a single one of them seemed surprised she was dead. That's never a good sign. I asked for everyone's phones. No one objected, which either meant they were innocent or they were very confident. I checked the logs, the timestamps. Most phones hadn't been used since midnight. But Peter Marsh's had a deleted call at 3:12 a.m., and Felix had wiped his messages completely. Rookie move. Only guilty people bother cleaning up that much. I walked back through the house. I like to be alone with the scene when I can. The dead have their own way of talking. You just have to be quiet enough to listen. The kitchen was still a mess. Wine bottles, plates stacked half-heartedly. No one had expected to clean. I opened the drawer closest to the back door, nothing but silverware. The next one had a heavy brass pestle from a mortar and pestle set. Round. Solid. Heavy enough to break a skull. I looked closer. There was a faint smudge on the base. Wiped, but not well. No fingerprints, just friction marks. Whoever used it had panicked. Tried to clean it up fast. That told me something. The killer hadn't come to this weekend planning to kill. It was emotional. Spontaneous. A trigger. I put the pestle in a bag and went upstairs. The hallway to the guest rooms was long, carpeted, and smelled like too much cologne. One of the doors, third on the left, was open just a crack. I knocked lightly and pushed it wider. Leslie was inside, sitting on the edge of the bed with her arms around her knees. She didn't look surprised to see me. Can't sleep? I asked. She shrugged. You were close to Alina? She was my mentor. I met her in a writing class 5 years ago. She told me I had potential. Said I just needed someone to believe in me. I waited. But the past few months she changed, she said, her voice dropping. Started threatening me. Said I'd stolen ideas from her. I didn't, I swear, but she was convinced. Told people I was a thief. She got me blacklisted at a publisher. No one would return my calls. You argue with her last night? No. We avoided each other. You leave your room? Just once. Around 2:30. I went downstairs for water. I didn't see her. That matched nothing. No one else said they saw Leslie downstairs. But that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Back in the lounge, Felix was pouring himself another drink. I took it from his hand and poured it into the plant beside him. He didn't argue. You deleted your messages, I said. Privacy, he replied, slurring a little. You know how it is. Tell me what you and Alina fought about. He looked up at me with bloodshot eyes. I loved her. She didn't love you back? She did. Once. Or maybe she pretended. I never knew. She had this way of looking at you like you were the only person in the world. Then you'd wake up and realize you were just Tuesday. You see her last night? I saw her. She saw me. That was the problem. His eyes were glassy, and his voice turned quiet. She told me she was going to destroy my career. Said she had emails, recordings, all lies. But who'd believe me? You know what happens to men like me? We get erased. I was just defending myself. That last sentence hung in the air like a rope ready to snap. You just said she threatened to ruin you. He blinked. Did I? No, I meant, forget it. Too late. I'd heard enough. Later that day, the coroner confirmed it. Blunt trauma, consistent with the brass pestle. No signs of a struggle. She didn't fight back. One strike to the head. Fast, clean. The killer had likely walked up behind her. Someone she trusted. Or at least, someone she wasn't afraid of. I gathered everyone one last time in the main hall. I looked at their faces. Each one hiding something. But only one hiding murder. Let's pause here. Think. There's enough in what I've told you. The facts are on the table. The lies too. One person among them had motive. One had the right window of time. One said a little too much. One didn't say enough. The weapon was in the kitchen. The killer wasn't. Who killed Alina Hart? Why? And what mistake gave them away? Take your time. Because next, I'll tell you how it all unraveled. They sat around me, tension thick in the air. Even the quiet ones couldn't hold still, fingers tapping, feet shifting. Guilt always finds its way out, one way or another. I stood in the middle of the room, holding the evidence bag with the brass pestle inside. This, I began, is the murder weapon. Taken from the second drawer by the stove. Heavy enough to kill with a single strike, which is exactly what happened to Alina Hart sometime between 2:45 and 3:15 a.m. No struggle, no scream. Whoever did it came from behind. Peter folded his arms. Leslie stared at the floor. Felix didn't blink. The killer wasn't wearing gloves, I said. But they wiped the pestle down, poorly. No prints. Just friction smudges. That tells me something. This wasn't planned. It was emotional. Fast. I paced slowly. Let's talk timeline. Most of you said you were in your rooms all night. But not Leslie. She told me she went to the kitchen at 2:30 a.m. for water. Yet no one else saw her. And Alina's watch, found beside her, had stopped at 3:06 a.m., likely from the blow. That narrows our window. I turned toward Leslie. But you didn't kill her. Because you heard something, didn't you? That's why you left your room. She looked up, eyes wide. I heard voices. A crash. That's all. I didn't want to get involved. Who was it? I thought it was Felix, she whispered. He was angry all evening. And I saw him downstairs. Near the patio. Felix stood. That's a lie. No, it's not, I cut in. You deleted your messages. Why? Because Alina had threatened to expose you. Not lies, real things. You harassed her. She told you no. You didn't like that. And last night, after too many drinks, you cornered her. Again. She threatened to go public. Again. Only this time, she meant it. So you panicked. That's not true, he snapped. You have no proof. Actually, I do. I pulled out Felix's phone. The deletion wasn't clean. You forgot the backup log. One message survived. From Alina. Sent at 2:59 a.m. I read it aloud. Stay away from me. If you come near me again, I swear to God I'll send the tapes to every contact I have. Silence. Like a curtain had dropped over the room. Felix sat down slowly, his hands limp. She meant it, he murmured. I didn't want to, she wouldn't stop. She was going to ruin me. I looked him dead in the eyes. No, Felix. You ruined yourself. He didn't fight when the uniforms came. He didn't cry either. Just stared at the floor like there was still a way back. There wasn't. Leslie gave a statement. Peter and Grace left the next morning. The house was silent again. Alina Hart was dead. But her voice, her final message, was loud enough to carry through everything. That's how it usually is. The truth finds a way to speak. You just have to be ready to hear it.